So I thought I'd do a nice simple cake for you guys and gals to get your teeth around today. So the core of all cakes, apple cake. In addition, I thought maybe that's too simple. So caramel and apple cake. So we're gonna put the caramel on the bottom with slices of apples and then the cake batter on top. So if you think about it, it's almost like the pineapple upside down cake, but kind of apple, right? But either way about it, I hope you guys and gals are gonna enjoy the video. So before we start anything, it's to get that oven on 180 Celsius or 350 Fahrenheit. So let's turn that on now. So to cook the cake, we're actually gonna need a 20 by 20 centimeter, which is 8 by 8 inch glass baking dish, or you could use a tray, whichever's easiest for you. So we're gonna butter up this bad boy first. So if you feel like the butter is not enough, you can always use parchment paper, or you could use both if you wanted to. And you're probably better off with the parchment paper because number one, it'll actually stop it from sticking, and second of all, the caramel will probably less likely to spill over in your stove, so I'd probably go with the parchment paper. And also, if you thought, how on earth did he make that so perfect? Quite easily. Just 2 pieces of parchment paper, about the size of the width of the dish, and then just push straight down. So we want to start making that caramel first thing, so we're going to need 1 stick of unsalted butter, which is about 114 grams. Also, we're going to need 200 grams of soft brown sugar, or 1 cup. Pinch of that natural sea salt. Gotta have that flavor. And also, we're going to need a bigger pan. Much better. So we're going to pop this onto the stove, onto a medium heat until the butter and the sugar have melted down together. So while you're waiting for that to melt down, you may as well weigh out your whipping cream or double cream. You're going to need 150 ml, which is 2/3 of a cup. So now that it's all melted down, you want to leave this on the heat for a little bit more until it starts bubbling away. Once it's bubbling, we're going to then add the cream. So now it's started to bubble, let's add that double cream. Or whipping cream. Just give it a little mix around. And then you just want to let this cook down for about 5-10 minutes, just until it thickens up slightly, and then we can take it off and let it cool down. Goodness me, look at it, it's bubbling to the core. I promise, no more puns today. That's the last one. Okay, this bubbling madness is pretty much done. So it's already thickened up pretty well. So we're gonna let this cool down. Do not pour this straight into your mold because it'll be super, super hot. So just let this cool right down and it'll actually thicken up as it cools. So while that caramel is cooling down, I'm gonna slice up my apple. And you can use any brand of apple you want to. I'm gonna use Fuji for today. So take your pick. So don't forget to take your sticker off. These things are a pain in the butt, but yeah, you don't want this in your cake. So we're gonna slice this in half. So we're basically gonna take both sides of the cheeks off and the other sides. And then we're just pretty much gonna cut them down into nice little thin slices. So once you slice these down, what you wanna do is make a nice, beautiful layer on the inside. Just layering these up, going straight across on the tray, going straight across on the dish, shall I say. So as you can see, we're just gonna lay it all the way across and then make another layer and then just kind of build it up like so. So there we go. We should have something like this, nicely layered, and don't worry about it oxidizing, it'll be fine. And if you wanna munch up those scraps, delicious. So now it's time for the cake batter, and it's pretty simple. You want 3 bowls. So you want 1 for wet, 1 for dry, and 1 for more dry? I guess so. So let's start whipping up that butter and the sugar, and I think somebody forgot to take out their butter. Oh wait, we're using oil today, we're not using butter. So let's start off with the wet, and we're gonna need 175 grams of soft brown sugar, or 7/8 of a cup. I know, brown sugar's not wet, but still. Also, we're gonna need 2 of these bad boys. I almost nailed it. 125 ml of vegetable oil, or 1/2 cup, and also 125 ml of milk, or 1/2 cup. So give this a whisk until it's all incorporated. So now for the second bowl, we're gonna need 250 grams of plain flour, or all-purpose flour, which is about 2 cups. 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, right? Yes. 1 teaspoon of ground ginger. 2 teaspoons of baking powder. Watch that powder. And no, not bacon, bacon. And then for the third bowl, this is a little bit too big, I think, but it'll do. So we're going to need 180 grams of raisins, which is 1 cup and 1 teaspoon. I'm going to go with half and half, so golden and normal raisins. Also, we're going to need 300 grams of grated apple. Now, before you start weighing them like this, you might want to take the sides off and then weigh it and throw away the core. Otherwise, you're not going to get the right amount. But the usual amount is usually 1.5 apples, roughly. Okay, maybe 1 2/3 then. So give them a nice little grate down. Also, if you were looking for the cups measurements, I can't remember if I said it, but it's 2.5 cups. So we've finally got all our ingredients ready to rock and roll. So we're going to add the flour to the wet mix, giving that a little whisk, just until the flour is incorporated. Careful you don't over whisk it. And then fold in the apples and the raisins. And there we go. You should have your apple cake mix ready to go. Also, if it feels a little bit too wet, you can also add a little touch more flour if you want to thicken it up just a little bit more. But otherwise, you should be good to go. So as you can see with the caramel, it's actually thickened up quite nicely. So we're going to pour that straight over the top of the apples. And I kind of forgot to tell you, only pour 2/3. Keep 1/3 back. We're going to use this later on for some garnish. And then you want to pour that beautiful cake batter straight over the top. So just give it a quick little tapper wrap. Ooh, piece of candy. And in addition, we're going to pop this onto a tray just in case there's any spillages. You don't want that in your oven, all that caramel burnt. Absolutely not. So just pop it on the tray just in case you do have any. You shouldn't do though. So we're going to pop this into the oven. This is going to take about 30-40 minutes. Keep an eye on it. If it gets a little bit too hot as well, sometimes some people's ovens have hot spots. Just turn it down just a little notch. But otherwise it should take about 30 or 40 minutes to cook. There we go. It's taken a little bit longer than 40 to 50 minutes. I'd say an hour to hour and 10 minutes. So making sure it is cooked. And how do you know if it's cooked? Quite easily. Get a skewer, give it a poke, and it should be nice and clean. So there we go. That beautiful apple cake is ready to go. We're just gonna let that rest for about half an hour, just to let it cool down before we start turning it out. All right, so this little gem has cooled down enough now. So we're actually gonna turn it out. So there we go. That nice, glossy, spongy apple and caramel cake. So still a little bit warm before we start cutting into it. So just give it a touch longer. So using a little bit left over the caramel, just gonna just gently brush over the rest of that caramel over the top, just to kind of glaze it a little touch more. So I had to give you a little sneak peek up close of that apple caramel cake. Goodness me. And this is one of these moments where you think, where the hell is my nearest bakery? Or you could just make this instead. It's just so much easier. So I'm pretty sure you want to see the texture on the inside. So we're gonna have a little slice into this now. Oh my goodness me. Look at that little devil right there. Nice, light, fluffy, very Moorish. I will try this, but I'm just kind of like, trying to cut down a little bit. So, I'm gonna skip for the tasting for today, but I definitely know, I've already tried this before. It's definitely one of my best recipes for an apple caramel cake. So you've got to give it a bash. What? I couldn't help myself. It was so good. There's something about that experience of warm, soft, fluffy cake just out of the oven. Not too hot, but just warm. It's just so good. It really is. So there we go. There's our apple and caramel cake. Seriously, dead simple, dead easy cake to make. Give it a bash. The ingredients will be below in the description box. Feel free to try this out. Also, if you want to substitute the raisins for nuts or vice versa, or you want to leave it all out, absolutely fine. Give it a tweak. In addition, if you want to like the video and subscribe to the channel, always appreciated. Also, if you want to check me out on Twitch, Tuesday to Friday, 10 AM Mountain Time, we'll be cooking live. But until next week, amigos, stay awesome. You thought I was going to say cheeky then, didn't you?